Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Passion Projects. Today, I got the chance to sit down and speak with a very talented young person named Corbin that is an aspiring writer, filmmaker, and content creator. We got the chance to sit down and talk about the upcoming book that he is working on called The Burden of Gratitude. Even though Corbin is only 16, he was very, very impressed with me. Corbin's really discussing a lot of deeper thoughts and topics from a young age, so I think it was really cool to see a young person thinking through these ideas and what they want to write about and become and dream about. So I'm really excited for you to hear this conversation strictly just because of that. But without further ado, if you could please help me to give him a warm welcome. This is Corbin.
I'm a big Jordan Peterson fan, so I know Alberta.
Oh yeah,
I know Alberta, but that's the only part I really.
oh yeah, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of famous people come from Canada. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that a while ago. It's like everyone that a lot of people I admire, I look at where they came from or where they live now even, and it almost a lot of the time it just ends up being Canada again. But maybe that says something about me. No,
No, there's like there's a Canadian band I really like. Do you know Valley? You ever heard of Valley?
I don't know if I know their songs, but I feel like I've heard the name before.
They're like
I don't know.
pop maybe.
Okay, that kind of. Did you interview them?
I wish one day. That'd be fantastic. No, they're like
You have interviewed a couple. You've interviewed a couple artists, right? Like music artists.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, no, I don't know much music artists actually, because
Well, Justin
try to
Bieber. I bet you know him.
oh yeah, I know Justin Bieber, but I mean I don't listen too much, right? Because I try to be very selective with what I listen to, because I'm a firm believer that whatever you consume has like a direct impact to who you actually become. So I try to a lot of the time that gets me not listening to music, but I very much do like music and I'm open to listening to any artist from any genre as long as it doesn't stop me from becoming who I want to become. Right. So
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty cool.
that's why I don't know much about music, but I
Sure, no,
definitely
that's fair. And I just happen to interview a lot of musicians because I am a musician myself. That's just what I've gravitated towards in life. Which kind of leads me to the first thing I wanted to ask you, which was if you could just explain what you do creatively, what you're trying to do, what's your goal of what you want to do creatively for someone that doesn't know you.
yeah. So this is interesting because I have a lot of dreams and goals in mind with my public image, I guess. But right now, I'm doing not exactly what I want. It's kind of okay. Well, first, I'll say the overarching plan is I want to be a filmmaker. I want to make movies. But I haven't been doing too much of that right now. I have made like a couple short films in the past, but I am in the future going to make a movie, a feature film. But right now, so actually, what I want to do with making movies is I want to have. I think a lot of the time movies nowadays are either very unintentional or they're very intentionally pushing not like political agenda, but even just like I find that like all the confident, charismatic, well-dressed, well-spoken characters are almost oftentimes always psychopaths in films. And all of the like weak individuals are often because of that they become the protagonist because the villains are often
They're kind of like caricatured that way.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I didn't know this was even a thing until I like started going on social media and stuff, but a lot of people, you know, I always wondered why people would gravitate towards like villainous characters. There's some people that like carry that persona and they like love the Joker or all these or
I was thinking
Venom or
that's exactly what I
yeah, or Joaquin Phoenix. And what I figured out is that these characters a lot of the time embody the characteristics that a lot of men or just people in general aspire to have. And it's very rarely, or at least with modern films, is very rarely portrayed as the good guy having those. So that's something that I really want to showcase in my films, and that is why I want to make films a big part of it. Right now, because I'm not making films, I'm trying to more so just sharpen my vision when it comes to being able to execute what I'm saying. So like right now I'm doing a series that'll probably last forever, but it's the Pillars podcast. It's on my YouTube channel. Basically sit down and I just have a topic on mine and for however long, I just talk. And it's just a challenge to get me better at speaking to the camera and just speaking in general, and more so just expressing the thoughts I have in my mind, right? So, Pillars podcast, I don't know how many, I think there's like 15 episodes. I probably should have checked before I came on here, but I haven't done it too much. That's really what I'm focusing on right now. Well, that's what I'm focusing on when it comes to putting content out there, is something on my mind, some sort of a topic or content. I'm just making a video about it.
Keep
There's
talking.
absolutely
Keep talking.
Okay, yeah. There's absolutely zero edits done to my the Pillars podcast on my YouTube channel, but other than the color grading, I have like a very unique style when it comes to my color grading. But when it comes to everything else, I'm basically just trying to express my thoughts and ideas on camera for a long period of time with no cuts. But that's basically what I'm doing right now for content. But when it comes to what I'm doing behind the scenes, is I'm making a book right now, writing a book. That's the big thing that I'm trying to get out. The content idea thing is basically like, if I have an idea for a certain type of content that I want to make right now, I can just sit down and I can record it. Like if there's a certain belief I have right in the moment, or a belief I have, there's no scripts ever for these videos. I just sit down and talk. But when it comes to like, so there's basically no effort that is needed for the content I'm doing right now, because I basically just speak on what I already understand, what I already know. I just sit down and speak, right?
Sure.
So there's room for me to do other stuff. So what I'm doing in the background is writing a book. I'm writing a book on gratitude. I think
Cool.
gratitude is one of the biggest things lacking in this generation. My enemy, I could say, is Gen Z. Not all of Gen Z, but like a
Me.
big yeah, me too. A big proportion, a lot of Gen Z. I think that Gen Z lack gratitude for like through the masses. Like, of course, there are exceptions, and but the exception doesn't disprove the rule that that gratitude does lack heavily in this generation. And I think it's one of the most important emotions to feel. And I don't think you necessarily need like, I think gratitude and a lot of emotions you can just feel by choosing to feel it, and it may be harder, but I think that there's no excuse not to feel grateful. And that can kind of be controversial when you get into the aspects of, like, I don't know, like a starving kid in Africa or something, right? They have a right to be ungrateful. But I think even then, like when they become so stripped of like the beauty that we have here, I think that they become even more grateful, because it becomes more clear what there is to be grateful for. Because here, I think we have in North America, we have an abundance of things. We can overindulge in too many things. You know, if you
For sure.
there's a saying I like. It's kind of like polaric, but if you have the choice to be obese, then you have no reason to be ungrateful. Right? It's kind of harsh, but like I don't think you ever have a reason to be ungrateful, no matter your life circumstances, but like especially if you live in North America, in any type of class of citizens. Basically, North America is like the privileged part of the world where I don't think there's a reason for you to be ungrateful.
Are you a Christian?
I am a Christian. You are too, right? Are you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The reason I asked that is because it's like a lot of times that's just something like I'm praying about and saying like, God, like I'm grateful that you just allowed me to wake up and breathe air. Like that should
Yeah.
be, you know? So I think that kind of piggybacks off what you're saying of just, we do live in a generation, and not just Gen Z, it does kind of like devolve in a certain way with Gen Z.
Yeah, not just Gen Z, for sure.
Yeah, but like we live in a time period and a culture that is very devoid of gratitude. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really
Yeah.
cool that you want to write about that too. You said your book's primarily about gratitude?
It's actually, I'll tell you the title. It's called The Burden of Gratitude. So it's like just about gratitude.
You can tell
I've
you're
been
a
writing
writer, dude.
Yeah, it's a pretty short book. It's gonna end up being, I think, but I keep adding more and more to it. I'm not rushing it, but anyone that wants to get the book, I don't know what it's gonna be sold for. It's gonna be pretty cheap, but throughout the interview here, I'll reveal more stuff, I guess, about gratitude and stuff to, I guess, build intrigue, I guess. But anyway, the book, in all of my social medias, in the bio, you can click a wait list to wait for the book. So that'll be something that
Cool. Yeah.
I can,
I
yeah.
will blast that everywhere. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of interested to hear more about like how did you come to these conclusions? I mean, maybe they're not like conclusions yet because you're still working out these ideas, but how did you come to have like a thirst for spreading and sharing about these ideas?
Yeah. How did I start
Like,
to
where
have
does
a
that come from?
third? Yeah. Well, I've always been kind of, well, actually, for as long as I can remember, I've wanted to make movies. Like, for as that's kind of part of this, but anyway, when I always wanted to make movies, and making movies is kind of like recording something in the moment, either someone saying something or someone doing something, like you're performing for the world, right? And you're putting it out there. I don't necessarily know where that stems from, but basically, I guess probably watching movies made me want to make movies, and writing books too, but I thought I would always make nonfiction. But I'm probably gonna make nonfiction movies and make fiction books now. But I mean, yeah, no, that's right. Fiction books, nonfiction. But anyway, basically, I've always wanted to like perform in some way for the world. And as I got older, I created a YouTube channel, and just I have never had social media until this year.
Oh, wow.
And this year was what really opened me to more of the online world. And I guess all my beliefs, they kind of come from what I consume on Instagram, but they're really rooted in my family's beliefs and what my parents have had. But it really shifted, like when I started creating content on YouTube, and I was kind of creating random whatever content until I started Dir.Corbin, which is where I messaged you from, the Instagram account. That was when I first got Instagram. Um, Not when I messaged you, but I mean that was the first account I created on Instagram. And like I just didn't see, like, when I started creating, it kind of just came out the way I just realized, especially with social media and just the world that I experienced, going to events and all that. I realized how different, where my beliefs, like the beliefs that, it's hard to say. Sorry,
You're good. You're good.
over myself. But the beliefs I have are kind of just like beliefs that I've always had, like with my family and who my parents are. But they've been shifted. Maybe the perspective and the way I execute it has been the way I execute sharing my message has been shaped by what I consume on social media. So the
Gotcha. Okay.
people and all of that is who taught me how to speak and how to do that. That's taught from social media. But the core values, I would say, are taught from my family and just the life I've lived with my parents, and the core, belief systems that they teach us,
Yeah.
the Christian values and stuff. But I have adopted more belief systems from social media, but they don't contradict the core ones that I grew up with. And in fact, they strengthen them. And so, yeah, I think the beliefs I have really just stem from the environment and the core beliefs that my family taught me throughout
How
my
old
life.
are you?
I'm 16.
Are you really? Wow.
I am. Yeah, I'm
Good for you.
June
You're like
June
you're
14th is my
pursuing
birthday.
stuff early. That's awesome.
I know that I want to be the youngest at everything. No, I'm joking. I've been, yeah. I just got social media like this year too, so like
That's
I mean
probably
I've
for
had
the
YouTube.
best. You waited.
Yeah. Yeah, and because I don't want to be, I never want, like, when it comes to social media, I don't want to be a consumer. I don't want to have it to scroll and stuff. I think
For sure.
that's not good. So the moment I got, like, I actually was never going to get social media, like maybe someday just to keep in contact with people. But I mean, what really made me want social media is when my YouTube channel was getting, I figured out more so what I wanted to do with my YouTube channel. And
Uh-huh.
I realized how much bigger or how much more connections I could get through Instagram. And that's when I just asked my parents if I could have Instagram, because to me, the most important people that I keep happy in my life with who I'm becoming are my parents.
Mhm.
So anything that I do, I have to first make sure they're okay with it, right? So
Sure.
getting social media, they were skeptical at first because, I've never had it, and it can be a dangerous place, I guess, but I'm not getting it to be a consumer. I'm getting it to be a creator. And I think that is the
Two
biggest
very
difference.
different things. Very, very
Yeah.
different things.
They
Yeah.
wouldn't let me get it if I was just going on it to consume.
Yeah.
And now I actually really don't like I think that now the longer I've been on social media, I've really seen the difference of being a consumer versus a creator. And you have to kind of make a mental choice not to consume, over consume especially, and just use it to create.
I really think though, if you're purpose driven and there is a reason, like a why behind what you're doing on social media, I think it makes it pretty easy to not be a consumer and to be a creator. Um,
I actually
like
agree with that, yeah.
yeah, like I grew up with social media. Um, I think I'm part of the generation that like I was around when Instagram started, like
Yeah.
I'm in here. Um, and I've seen that evolution from what it started as just like a picture app to what is
Yeah.
now. And I find that really interesting how that shift has also changed a lot of people from like just living their lives to being straight consumers. And most people on social media are just straight consumers. So for you to be 16 at that age to have all this stuff, I wouldn't say maybe like figured out, but like you're on the right path, especially
Yeah.
when you're thinking about it. Mad respect to you, dude. You're gonna go very far if you have this mindset and keep
Thank
pushing.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you see the social media aspect of what you're doing, and where do you see that going? Like, how do you plan on growing it?
Um, I need to figure out, I don't know. I kind of want an audience, like obviously, right? But recently I guess I've been struggling to get my social media growing, but I don't want to sacrifice the content I'm creating and create content that would get popular easier. I would rather create content that I want to create, but that sacrifices the growth aspect of it. But I actually think so. I was actually advised, I saw a video on social media before I made my first video. It was create content that you can create, not necessarily content that you want to. Like create it. There's a spectrum, he said. There's content you want to create and content you can create, and then go on the spectrum to the point where you can create the best content that you want to, right? But I don't think that's the best. I think it's the best strategy to make good content. Like for
And
example, in the
consistent.
video, yeah, in the video he was holding like a notebook here, for example. He was holding a notebook and he was writing and he was talking, not looking at the camera like I'm doing right here. And he did it the whole video. The video is very, very well edited and put together, but he was just like this. And I'm guessing like he struggled to look at the camera. So he says, instead of working to what you do bad, work to what you do good. And it like makes sense and it sounds like it's common sense to do. But for me creating content, I'm trying to create content that I would be most proud of being good at, not necessarily content that I'm good at right now. Because the only way to get good at something is to do it enough times till you get good at it. So I'm basically just creating. I'm bad at talking, I think, or I'm getting better at it now. But I think that I was pretty bad at talking, so I created the Pillars podcast, which is basically, like I said before, sit down and just share my thoughts. And I'm basically trying to create content that, like I said a million times already, that instead of creating content that is going to be good right away, create content that is bad enough times until it becomes good, because I would rather be good at that content than content that would go viral now, if that makes sense.
No, it for sure does. And obviously you're still pretty new to this whole content realm. Like I said, I grew up with it, so I have a different lens.
Mhm.
It, but no, I 100% agree with what you're saying about like you do have to create within your means. Like you're not just going to be some Martin Scorsese out of nowhere. He had to go
Yeah.
to film school. He had to do 1,000, maybe 10,000 mess ups and horrible takes and bad cuts and bad edits in order to become the producer filmmaker that he became. You can give dozens of examples for any high level anything. So that approach, I think, will in the long run really help you hone in on your skills and just just make something better. And you gotta give yourself some credit too. Like I'm 10 years older than you. I'm 26. And like it can be very easy to get caught up in where you fall short, like you were saying. But
Yeah.
that you're on this trajectory of filmmaking, writing, producing content. You're on a trajectory that I would assume a lot of your friends or people you know aren't doing what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would keep that in mind as you create more. You're you're working on creating the life for yourself that you want. And few people do that and stick with it. So the fact that you're sticking with it, going through it, I think is going to be just an exponential benefit to you 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah, for
So I'll
sure,
be,
yeah.
I'll be really excited to see where your social media goes, and I'd be happy to talk to you about what might work for you to grow it a little bit.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I recently started seeing, this random plop of growth everywhere on social media, and I think I
Yeah,
think I think we could bounce ideas off of each other, and it'd be really
yeah,
beneficial.
for
Uh,
sure, yeah.
Talk to me more about this whole filmmaking thing. Like, where do you see that going? What's the as of right now? What's the end goal for that?
Well, so as of right now, I'm trying to so I was just actually advised by my brother, instead of, um actually, let me zoom out a bit. I attacked Instagram and YouTube by creating one podcast where I would bring on guests, and I only got one, like, guest on so far. That was Sam John Creates. You had him
Yeah,
on too, right? Yeah.
yeah, he's
I had
awesome.
him on, and then I just decided to start another podcast, which is the Pillars one, where I would sit down and talk to the camera. And in the back of my mind, I was always like, I want to be a filmmaker too. So actually, way before I did all that, I was creating a script for my film as well. So through that process of creating all this content, I was working on creating a film. And also through that process, I was trying to get actors and people. And I was just doing everything at once. And then really recently, I decided I'm going to make a book. So I just added that onto my plate because there's all these types of content that I
A
wanna do,
true
so
renaissance man. You want to do it all.
pretty much, yeah. Um, so my brother told me to what he would hate for me to do is, like, try to it's like if you're multitasking on, like, a multiple different things, your attention goes to none of them basically, right? Because 'Cause you're
Completely.
doing a little bit, or it's like a multi-tool that has a million tools, but a knife is still better, right?
You're talking to
Or,
someone that has gone through this
yeah.
a couple
So
times.
he's
I
saying, like,
completely
he
get
would
it. Yeah.
yeah, he says that he would be really proud to see me succeed at one thing, right? So I'm right now when it comes to filmmaking, I'm kinda putting that aside until I finish my book. My book is number 1 priority because that's the thing I wanna create best, and I am still gonna be creating content like the Pillars podcast. That's very easy to do because I can just sit down and talk about anything that happened, not in my week. I'm not, like, doing a day in my life, but I'm more so, like, talking about the trials and tribulations that I believe in, the belief systems, and it's those are so in my core that I can just speak about them on camera, which I wanna get better at, just speaking at what I believe in. So that's why I'm not gonna stop that, but I'm putting all my focus on the book of gratitude. But after that book is done, then I'm going to try to put all my, attention towards creating a script for a movie and then creating a movie. So that's also a challenge. It's a whole nother challenge because, like I said, I was working on a script for a while. The bigger and bigger that one became, I've been using that script. I think is like over a year old now, and I keep changing it. But the problem is, who I was then was before I even started social media, and ever since social media came in, and I wanted to be more of a influencer where I talked about my beliefs more so,
Mhm.
the more I realized that making films should be centered around my moral beliefs, and it should be pushing the message of like who I am, which the film that I was creating was not. Like the villain was well spoken, confident, and well dressed, where the main character was exactly it just fell into the stereotype of what I
Yeah.
realized I wanted to fight against.
Mhm.
And because of that, I'm putting that story aside, and I think I will come back to it in the future. And especially because I also made the scale of it too big for a first film, and I'm going to try to create a really good film to at least get like a $1,000 budget for it or something, right? Because I was planning on doing this one on zero budget, and I already had like 10 actors or so that I needed. So I'm doing a new one. I'm gonna try after the book. I'm gonna try to put my attention towards however long I need, create the a good story, a good story where I can at least get people to offer their time to act for me, hopefully even for free, right? Depending on how good it is, people throw themselves at you if it's good enough, right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, yeah, I'm focusing on my book right now, Gratitude, but then I'll focus on my movies. And I think who I see myself in the future is so it's interesting. It's hard to admit because, like, well, it's not hard to admit, but when I was younger, my whole life, I've wanted to be a filmmaker. And now I'm not really, I still think I am becoming a filmmaker. And with all the content that I create, I try to, even though it's not like a story a lot of the time, I can incorporate stories into it. And especially with like anything, even like my podcasting stuff, I want to prioritize visuals a lot because if I can get visuals done, that's just one aspect of filmmaking that I can get done while I'm doing podcasting. But basically, what I'm trying to say is in the future, I see myself as some sort of a content creator, influencer person that creates meaningful content,
Hmm.
but also creates movies that have a strong message that, for lack of better words, indoctrinates people into becoming, confident, smart, charismatic, good individuals. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very, I think that's a unique approach that you don't really see these days. You mentioned it earlier. So many movies these days are just so cut and dry and copy and paste and
Yeah.
what was done in the 80s that we can do again that people liked because there's no good new like marketplace of ideas.
Hmm.
And I personally believe that ties into social media, people being on their phones and nonstop. And I think that's all just this circular loop of why we see so much like monotonous, repetitive, cut and dry content in movies or in TV too. Um, but yeah, I do you see yourself do you see yourself going to film school? How do you see yourself harnessing these ideas to become because I see you being someone that wants to like really do big things with your life. How do you see yourself getting there professionally to be a filmmaker?
Um, well, I don't think there's a need for film school anymore for filmmakers because film school was needed um then, like back then for Martin Scorsese and all these big directors because everyone that went to film school, like all the greats that went to film school that are like in their 60s or whatever now, they went because they wanted the equipment. You can get equipment now. It's accessible to you, right? Like I have this, right? I can
Yeah.
now I can that's all I need. But also the skills, right? But everything like the skills that they teach you, I mean, you can get that all for free on YouTube or Instagram or
Or pay a
anything.
couple $100 and get a really good class online, yeah, instead of paying
Yeah.
tens of
So
thousands.
I don't think I'm going to go to film school. I think I'm just going to learn from watching videos, and I actually think the biggest thing that I'll learn from is trial and error, right? I'll take my phone and I'll go make a movie, and that's how I'll learn how to make a movie. That's a thing I think a really good way to do things in life, like especially with my podcast. That's exactly what I'm doing instead of or with any of the content I'm creating, instead of going to some sort of a school to figure out how to create good content, I'm creating content that I know is good as long as I can make it good. And I'm just going to create it until it's good. And that's what I'll do for films is I think I'll have a lot of bad ones, bad ones, bad ones, and then I'll have a really good one. But I don't want to be in Hollywood or any of that at all because I actually think a lot of my films, without going into too much detail on why, I think that I don't know what wording to use, but they'll
They'll fight
upset.
against the mainstream and they won't like it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think they'll like it. No. I know they won't. I know they won't. It won't be accepted. And I think that will be something that's very challenging to get them seen, but it'll be a challenge that I'm willing to go through rather than sacrifice my vision to match what they want to be put out.
But we have the internet now.
But yeah, that's
Like
exactly it.
you don't need some publishing I can't think of the word for it. Some like big name company or big name stuff to do what you're talking about. You're completely right. 100% right. Like we have the internet, we have social media, and I think your lens of um like being a content creator and a filmmaker in one, I think that will give you a cool way to just like market your films on your own pretty much. Like you may
Yeah,
not
pretty
even have a
much.
need to do a ton of marketing just because you yourself will be the marketer and it will probably work.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um Maybe shifting back towards your book a little bit. I think you mentioned earlier you kind of wanted to maybe unfold some of those details a little bit.
Okay.
So kind of jog my memory. We talked about it being kind of based around gratitude, but if you could talk a little bit more deeply about kind of some of those themes you're writing on.
Yeah. So something that people actually are confused about, my mom, my sister, my brother, they whenever I told them the title, The Burden of Gratitude, they were like, "Whoa, like that's a cool title."
Very cool
And then
title.
they're like, "Wait, burden? What do you mean burden? Like gratitude's burden? Like that's like it just doesn't. It kind of sounds like paradoxical, right? Like it doesn't sound like it works. Doesn't sound like it's a good title because gratitude shouldn't be a burden when you think about it. But I think gratitude partially is a burden, especially when you are, you know, your life is going terrible. To in the terribleness choose to still see life as a blessing, right? To see it, to be grateful in the midst of the hurricane, rather because it's easy to be grateful after you're through the hurricane, after you're through the storm. I think that gratitude is lacking because people are lacking perspective in their own lives. There's like video games, there's first person, third person, all that, right? Like most video games, a lot of video games, you'll see your character and you're walking and your character's walking, right? And then there's first person video games where you are the character, where it's kind of mirrors what you see in the real world. And I think we need to see ourselves like we're a third person, partially. Like we need to see our lives not like we're going through it, but the overarching life that we're going through, see our whole life rather than what we're just going through. And I think too many people are stuck in the moment. Like being in the moment is good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be aware that what you're going through is something you're going through right now and it's not something you're going through your whole life. And you can see um how much there is to be grateful for, how much there is going to be grateful for. Even if you, let's say your life is going terrible right now, you can see something you don't even have now that is going to happen in the future and you can be grateful for it now instead of waiting for it to come to you. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
what's an example? Like
You're articulating that very well. I really like this idea.
yeah,
Like
let's say I don't have a house, I'm living in a shed. I can be grateful right now that I have a house in the
a
future.
shed. Yeah.
Yeah, or that I have a shed, exactly. And actually, that comes into manifestation too, like, every single thing that doesn't exist already exists in the spirit realm. That's what I believe, at least as a Christian. And I think that to bring something into existence, you first have to see it there already. So that's a big way on how I dress. I like to dress very well put together or classy in like a suit a lot of time because I was thinking, how do I dress when I'm big, rich, and making movies, all that? How will I dress, right? And I always see myself in a suit, so I might as well do everything that I can do in my control right now, right? I might as well dress that like how I will then. I might as well try to talk like I will then. I might as well try to do everything in my power that I will be doing then because I know I'll be doing it then. So I might as well do it now. Uh, I don't know why I kind of want to rabbit trail there, but gratitude. Yeah, gratitude. That's why the book is called The Burden of Gratitude, because even though you're in the midst of pain, struggle, heartache, all of it, you can still be grateful. And I think a lot of people's pain and struggle, especially in like North America, is so minimal compared to what everyone else goes through. Like you can't really be all upset that, I don't know, your favorite sweater is stained or something, right? Even big pain, even big stuff like I don't know. I don't need to go into specifics, but in what everyone experiences in the entire world, it's so minimal. You don't really have a reason to be upset, to be nagging, to be held back. there's not really a justification for it. You have every reason to be grateful through every season of life you're going through. Yeah.
Do you believe that the I guess you could say lack of gratitude that you're seeing in society today, do you think this is a new thing? Do you think we've always been, as humans, been a fallen society that hasn't had this abundance of gratitude, or is this new?
I think it's not particularly new in some sense. I feel like it's been around forever, really. Like people have always been ungrateful, but
If you go to the Bible
I
too, like you'll see
yeah,
dozens of examples of,
it's
oh,
an
we
inherent
yeah,
it's
got out of
natural.
Egypt. Oh, now we're stuck in this desert. Oh, well, you wanted to
Right.
get out of Egypt, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have always been ungrateful, but I think there's been a rise of it recently, especially with social media. You get to see with I don't know if it's all considered social media, but just with the ability to see someone else's life anywhere, right? You can see someone in Africa, you can see someone in Asia, you can see someone in every part of the world, and you can see someone in any part of North America, right? Like, so I think people, they see the bad, and a lot of people also just see the good. A lot of people on social media will make their life seem amazing. So when you see their amazing life, you don't see what's wrong with it. And that can cause you to be ungrateful because you think their life is so much better than you. And let's say you've had more opportunities than them, or you're younger than them, or whatever. Now you think, oh, well, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I become as great as they are? But you don't really see what's going on wrong in their life. And I'm actually not like a critique of social media as a whole, of people showing their amazing life, because who wants to show their bad life to the world? Right. And I actually think that stems into the victim mindset, which is a big thing that I'm also a big enemy of mine, the victim mindset. And I think my book attacks. I think gratitude is the cure to the victim mindset, because when you see someone living an amazing life on social media, the victim mindset is what makes it bad, because even if their life is better than you can acknowledge that and you can be grateful for what you still have. But the victim mindset cancels out even the good things you have because they have something better. And the victim is just erosion. It just destroys the world. And I think that it is rising in this generation. I think the further and further we go, it becomes greater and greater, because again, the further and further we go, further and further technology and everything improves, the more comfortable our life gets. And the more comfortable our life gets, the easier it is to indulge and to just not have to worry about certain things. It's not even about over getting too much of something. It's just about not having enough to fight for. And I'm not saying that, you know, you should go live in a shed instead of living in a house or something, because actually, I would say I'm relatively privileged for compared to a lot of people. And that's something I made a video about too, actually, is how do you become a strong man if you live privileged? Because you can have
That's a good
perspective.
question.
If you have perspective, you can have gratitude, even if your life is amazing, right? Because you can see it from a different perspective, and see what other people have, and see what you lack, but also see what you have better than other people. Which perspective is just basically what brings gratitude and destroys the victim mindset. But what do you do then when you want to become a strong man, but you live a privileged life? Um, because no strong man become strong without experiencing some sort of pain. And
100%.
that was something I had to figure out, because I want to become a strong man.
And
So
I
what do I do?
promise you will figure it out over and over a lot.
Yeah, so actually I think there's different types of pain that and pain I told this to my youth leader actually, and he's like, I don't think pain's the right word, but I think pain is the right word, because every sort of setback is some sort of pain. It's not like physical pain, like getting cut or punched or whatever, but it still is some sort of pain. And if you don't experience organic pain, which if you live some sort of a privileged life, you don't experience organic pain. And privilege doesn't mean rich. It just means you don't have to fight for survival, really. right? And if your life is like that, then you don't really experience organic pain in the same sense of survival. What you have to experience then is manufactured pain. You have to manufacture pain in your life. And that's not saying go jump in a fire or something. That's saying do things that are hard to do, right? Like today, for example, I'm fasting. I haven't eaten all
Oh,
day
cool.
today, right? Or going to the gym or doing hard things. And in a way, this is going to sound even more privileged, but in a way it's harder because you have to mentally make the decision to do something that you easily can choose not to do. You can waste an entire day on the couch and it's a choice. It's not survival, right? In a way it's harder for the mind, but I actually think you can become stronger if you live a more privileged life because at least
You're,
in the
you're,
mind,
yeah, you're
because you have
choosing
to
within
choose.
the
You have
hardship.
to choose and you have
Yeah,
to choose again and again and again and again
that's
because your life. Yeah.
that's something Andrew Huberman has talked about. There's actually a specific, I think
Really?
it's
Oh,
neural cortex, something like that, some brain term, sciencey term that
yeah,
he,
yeah.
if you choose, so like for instance, let's say you're on a team. I ran cross country in college. I was on cross country team. I had to show up for practice every day. Showing up for practice every day didn't necessarily uh, build that part of my brain that pushes you because I was being told by someone else to do it and was just listening.
Exactly.
But if I went out on my own and I went and ran 5 miles at the same pace with just because I wanted to and got myself to do it, that action will actually um, grow that part of your brain. And the more you do it, the bigger that part of your brain gets. So that completely touches on the idea of what you're talking about. And something I wanted to mention as well is I can't remember the name of the book, but there was a book I was reading maybe a little less than a year ago, and the author talked about this term. It's a Japanese term called misogi. Are you familiar with that at all?
I think so. I think I've heard Chris Williamson bring it up.
Yes, he has before.
Okay.
I love him.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
but misogi is basically an old Japanese principle that once, maybe twice a year, that you go out and you set a goal for yourself that is like it's like a 50-50 on whether or not you're actually like physically or mentally or spiritually going to be able to actually complete that goal. For instance, um, run a marathon without training, hike up Mount Kilimanjaro with, just something like that. Um, and that will basically like reset your attitude, your mentality, your physicality, and give you a chance to kind of take a deep breath of fresh air and just like uh, see what you're made of. Like it's basically the principle is see what you're made of and do something really hard because that's where this abundance of growth is really going to come from on a deep level. It's not surface level. That's like a deep way of actually improving your life, and it's very tangible too. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do have one question actually. Is my mic when you speak, do you hear is it echoing through?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. It must have some cancellation thing then. I don't know. Cuz I hear I don't have headphones in it, so it's just coming through my computer here. I was just wondering if the audio was going through the mic cuz I'm
Is it
getting
is that doing it for me?
No, it's not.
Okay, no, we're good. We're golden. There's echo
We're good.
cancellation. It should be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good then. I was
Cool.
just making sure.
No worries. I edit. I'll cut it out. Don't worry. We're good.
Okay.
um well, that was a question I had for you that I was thinking a couple minutes ago. Oh yeah, so how and this might be a good thing for you as you're writing your book, just to kind of flesh out some of these ideas some more. We live in North America, Canada, the United States. I would agree. We both probably have very privileged lives, have opportunities that billions of people in the world will never have access to. All that kind of. And I agree. There's a ton of chances to be grateful for so many things in ways that a lot of people aren't. I can personally attest that I'm not as grateful as I should be.
Yeah.
And I know how I can go into a season of gratitude and like get myself into that spirit. How would you tell someone to be grateful if they, live a life that is not nearly as privileged as the ones we have the opportunity to? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Like
does.
someone's like really, really living a hard life. How do they find gratitude in the midst of all the hardship?
That's an interesting question. And man, how would I answer that? That's actually what I was thinking about, because I have said the saying, I don't know if I said it on social media much, but I have said it to people, that the worse your life is, the more of a reason to be grateful. And it's very like polaric and like kind of mean sounding, because like it just doesn't make sense. It shouldn't.
Punch in the face, you know?
Yeah, I've wondered like why do I believe that? And the more I figured out why I think it makes sense. It's basically because why wouldn't you? Right? Like being not grateful is basically just accepting the fact that you should be a victim, right? You shouldn't be a victim in any sort of scenario. And I think the
Okay.
worse your life is, the more clear it is to see what is grateful, because the more easier it is to see what is good, because what is good is that much smaller, right? It's that much more uh it's more seen, because if there's a black painting or if there's a wall, the whole wall's black, and it's just everything's black, the whole wall. For some people, it might be hard to tell that the wall's black, or no, that's a bad example. But I mean, like, if there's one dot on the wall, it's easier to point out the one dot versus if the whole wall's black, because you can't point at the whole wall
Oh
because the
yeah,
wall's
true.
massive,
Hmm.
right? It's just more clear, more direct. I think it's easier for them to be grateful. I think it is. But I think it's not saying that what they're going through isn't hard. I actually think if you talk to a lot of these people and you say, name one thing you're grateful for, they all have an easier time of labeling it than people that have a more privileged lifestyle. But if they weren't grateful, I think that they're just accepting what is going bad in their life as more important than what's going good in their life. And I think that it does nothing good to help you, because what I would really ask them is, do you want to improve in your life? Do you want to become better? It doesn't matter what heartache you're going through, what hardship, you may not even be able to control it, right? If you want to become a strong person, what creates a strong person? Negativity just destroys. So if you want to become a strong person, you have to realize that looking at what is grateful in your life looking at what is going good in your life, what you're blessed with, and being grateful because of it can only improve your life and cause you to become better. So if you want to become better, I would just say be grateful. And if the worse your life is, the easier or the more clear it is to see what it is that is a blessing. Yeah.
So you've given the diagnosis.
Yeah.
What are some tangible, like real life things people can do to actually go from non-gratitude for never thinking about that or even pursuing gratitude to actually being someone who lives out a life of consistent gratitude for what they have? What are some like real life things they can do?
Yeah. I think perspective. So just anytime you're in your life, you're going through something wrong. Um, Probably actually not perspective. Well, perspective actually too, but I mean awareness, being aware of everything that you're going through, and like sure you can be in the moment. I'm not saying cancel out you're going through now and be stuck in the future or something, but just be aware of what you're going through and have perspective about it. That I think I would tell someone if they weren't grateful, how would I help them to become more grateful? Is just try to see your life with more perspective and more awareness to see what you're actually going through. Because a lot of the time, like in stoicism, there's a belief that nothing that happens to you can destroy you. Like they take it really far in stoicism, but basically, like if you're being
Great
burned.
meditation. I know that one.
You read Meditations? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm reading it right now. But
it's a good
anyway,
book.
if you're being burnt alive, you can still choose to for it to positively impact you. Like, yes, it can negatively impact your physical body, but your mental mind, it's your choice what it does to you, right? And for someone that is going through anything in their life, whether they caused it or it's being caused to them and they have no control, I would just say try to see it from the perspective of everything that you're going through your life. And like I get in a car accident, I can even think of something totally unrelated that happened good in my life, and it will improve what I'm going through right now. It will, because your reality is as real as you make it, and whatever you choose to be real, I mean, whatever perspective you choose to go through something will actually change reality to your
So
benefit.
when you say perspective, I think what you're more so trying to say is it's just a shifting of focus.
Yeah,
Like you can focus on this horrible thing that's happening to you, or you can choose to find another angle to look at it.
yeah.
Um, and
Well,
I do
even
think that's helpful. I do think that's a helpful thing to do.
yeah, and like what I would say for someone that like can't look at something going in their life as good, if it's really bad, I would just tell them try to think of something good happening in your life, because it might be unrelated, right? Like if I don't know, something bad happened, I can think of that dog I saw last week, and that can be what makes me happy or grateful, right? And it may be unrelated, but I mean, the real skill comes when you can see what pain is happening in your life and see how it can benefit you, and see how your reaction cannot make can how your reaction can try to make it the best thing that can happen to you. Not the best thing, but try to anything that happens in your life, the real skill comes when you can choose to try to make the best outcome happen from that bad thing. Um, but for starting out, I would just tell people to try to look at something that they can be happy or grateful that happened in their life, because feeling the emotion of gratefulness in a moment when you should be ungrateful causes you to change reality, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And of course, this is all easier said than done.
It
Like
is way easier.
we can talk about this and talk about how easy, how not how easy, but how possible this is.
Yeah,
But a
100%.
shift of mindset, very difficult. Something that works for me, and this might be good advice for you or for anyone that happens to watch it, is that I mentioned it earlier, but if I'm having a really tough day, I will always go back to, hey, God, thank you that I woke up this morning, and thank you that I still have the opportunity to breathe another breath. And that thought alone, it shifts my mindset. It puts me in more of a
100%.
frame of I don't want to say grateful because I've said grateful so many times, but like a, a frame of
Yeah.
appreciation for
Yeah.
something. It's. I feel like I'm being Jordan Peterson right now talking about this. Just it's like it's a frame of appreciating something so small, like that. Like that's all you can grasp onto. And of course, like my bad day is relative to someone else's bad day. Someone could have a much worse day than me. But I think to grasp onto just like the tiniest little thing of what you have in front of you that's actually it's an opportunity to understand yourself more, understand where you're at, and understand how you can change this outcome that you feel like you're in. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. I think that's a really good thing to do. It's what I do all the time too, actually. A lot of the time, I think there's a lot of kids out there. This is me speaking to kids that are, still living in their parents' house, but I mean, a lot of time people will be angry at their parents or whatever. But if you can have enough understanding to see the good that they do, or the caring that they actually have, whether or not they're being annoying, or they're being, they're not helping you in the best way in the moment, a lot of the time that can shift your perspective on them, and it changes how you react to them. And if you like, I don't know who was teaching this. This is something totally different, but it relates to this. Someone was saying that it's easy to be mean to someone who's mean to you, but it's hard to be nice to someone who's nice to you. I mean, it's hard to be nice to someone who's mean to you, right? So if someone's being mean to you and you choose, or like your parent is not helping you or not being nice, and you choose to see it from the perspective of who they truly are, like how they react in other scenarios, or what you really like about them, the fact that they actually care about you and love you more than anyone else, that can make how you respond to them different, will as a result make how they respond to you different too. Yeah.
100%. There's definitely like a push and pull when it comes from that. And I think relationships, whether that's family or friends or, you know, brother, sister, mother, aunt, uncle,
Yeah.
I think those are relationships that can feel especially as a young person, can feel how would you say, like, kind of burdensome sometimes.
Yeah.
Like there's like a weight to it that almost shouldn't be there. Um, just because you're living you're your own human living under different humans that have ideas, and you have your own ideas, and yeah, it's just this melting pot of hormones and brain and all that kind of stuff. But you
Yeah.
can also foster that feeling, that attitude of gratefulness in those situations by some of the things we've been talking about too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I need to. Yeah, it tells me what I need to fill. What spaces need to be filled in my book for sure.
You said it's going to be pretty short. How long do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. It's gonna be like a manifesto, like not like a
Mm.
full inch thick book, but it keeps getting bigger. I don't know. It's gonna be pretty small. It's gonna be. You could probably read it in like one sitting. I mean, it depends on how quick you read.
You haven't seen how slow I read. It'll take me 30 days.
I know it would take me like a week probably, but I mean, it'll be. I don't know how thick. Do I have a book here for reference? I have no idea how big it'll.
I have a general idea. We'll say, 40 to 60 pages, something like that, maybe.
Yeah,
Um, no, yeah, I think I really enjoyed that. That was a nice little bit. I enjoyed talking about that. I've been trying to think how I want to frame the final question for you. Have you watched some of the podcasts and seen what I like to ask at the end?
I have. Yeah, I I have watched a couple. I don't know. I haven't watched too many. I think I've watched two, maybe three. I'm not sure.
Well, I appreciate the views.
Yeah. I watched Sam John Creates for sure, and then I watched two other music artist ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so as you know, I typically ask, for that kind of 18 to 20-ish age range, like what would be the one most valuable lesson you could give them as people are entering adulthood. But since you're 16, you haven't lived that yet.
Yeah.
You haven't seen what that kind of age range has in store for you.
Yeah,
I
for
will
sure.
be I will be really, really curious to see where you are at in 4 years when you're 20. I think you're going to be doing awesome stuff, dude. I'm really excited to see.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, man, of course. Yeah, you got to put together. Even if it doesn't feel like it to you right now, you are on a trajectory that's awesome.
Thank
I
you.
guess to reframe that question, what is a piece of advice that you would give to people right around your age, um, that are in that kind of 14, 16-ish age range that could help guide them in this part of life?
Um, I would say, man, what would I say?
Hard question to answer.
Yeah, you have to stop caring what people stop taking advice from people who have a life you don't want and figure out the life you want. One of my favorite questions, probably my favorite question is who do you want to be when you grow up? Right. And it's a video I actually want to make too. It's not really my target audience, but like anyone can really answer that no matter the age, even if you're like 90, because growing is learning, and learning is just taking something in. Growing is simply changing because of it. Growing is the result of that. So, who do you want to be when you grow up? Anyone can answer that because growing up, it doesn't necessarily mean your body changing or anything. It can mean your mind, right? So, and your mind can always
Your
change no
mind's
matter your
always
age.
changing too.
Yeah.
So
So, what I would say though to young people is figure out who you want to be and try everything that is in your control right now, like everything that you can choose to change right now. Like for your clothing, you can choose uh you can choose to dress in the way that you would then. Now do everything that you can do, that you will be doing then, and make sure you do it now. But the first step is figuring out who you want to be, and when you figure that out, just try to take every step possible to make that reality as soon as possible. And that is really the way that you, I think, grow the quickest. Because if, let's say, you know, for me, if, for example, me personally, I figured out who I want to be, and I tried to be every single aspect that I can control of that person now. like the way I dress, and I try to talk in that way, which I may not be as good as talking in that way, but the longer I try to, the sooner I will.
Yeah.
And everything that I can't control, everything that will just come in time, will come sooner because I have everything else in check. So yeah, what I would say is figure out who you want to be and figure out how you can be that person now.
I love that. You killed that. That was good. That was good, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, figuring out who you want to. It's that question. Like it's. Like I'm 10 years older than you. I don't know who I want to be exactly. I don't know. I mean, yes, I do, but
Yeah.
it's too big of a view. Like who you want to be. What does that mean on a monthly, weekly, daily, hourly? Like
Yeah.
it's like each decision is its own time to figure out who you want to be. You know? Um, and one piece of advice I would love to give you, um, if you don't mind,
Oh no,
is
I am not.
that um, something that I love, and you may have even heard this before, is just try to do the next right thing. You're gonna go through times in your life where you'll go through highs and then you'll come crashing back down. It's kind of just human nature. It's part of being 16. It's part of being 20.
100%. Yeah.
And I think if you're able to have the perspective of just do the next right thing, it can get you out of some of these loops of going down. Like I spent my like latter half of my college years just partying them away, you know? Like and then I spent the next 5 years learning how to get out of that and build new habits and uh, build new modes of thought and um, just like rebuilding who I was. So if you're able to attack a lot of things with this framework of just do the next right thing, no matter what that ends up playing out to be, I think that'll be a massive help to your career, your creative life, who you end up marrying, who you have, who you're friends with, how you dress, all that kind of stuff. Uh, so that's as an unk, you know, that's my bit of advice I could give you.
Yeah, I'll take that in. I'll definitely keep that in mind as I continue to grow in life. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
Corbin, where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and Threads.
Okay.
And they're all as of now, they're all under the name Dir.Corbin, which is DIR space or no space, just DIRCORBIN. Dir.Corbin. Dir is actually the short version of director,
Cool.
which is who I want to be. And that's something I can control. I can start calling myself that now. I actually also, a big part of my brand is I wear this hat.
Mm-hmm.
And it
What does it
says,
say? I've never been able to tell.
it says visionary on it,
Cool.
which is another thing I want to be. And I'm wearing the title now, right? Instead
Yeah.
of waiting to be a visionary, which waiting never comes. Saying that I'm going to do something means you're always going to. But if you're always going to, it's never happening now. So anything that you can control now, which is a lot of things, like not control, but I mean anything that you can start the journey on now is a lot of things, which is most things, I would say start now. But yeah, what was I talking about? Social media. Um, yeah, Dir.Corbin on pretty much any social media, like I mentioned. And also in the bio of all of them that I think all of them that I could do, some of them don't allow this, but in most of the bios of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those, they have there's a link to join a wait list. It's free to join the wait list, and it's a wait list for my book, The Burden of Gratitude, which gratitude is one of the biggest thing lacking in this world, I think. And I think it's a book that could help anyone, regardless on if they have a lot of gratitude or no gratitude. And you can join the wait list in the bio of any of my social medias.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to, like I said, link those and put those out for people to hop on.
Thank you.
Corbin, this is an awesome conversation. I'm really excited to
yeah.
see what you do. I'm excited to read your book. I will
Thank
be
you.
on that wait list soon. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah. let's stay in touch. I want to keep up
Yeah.
with you. I want to see what you're doing. Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much.